I'm gonna do some fillet welds around some square tubing today, and I'm gonna show you there may be more to it than you think. My name is Dusty, and I've been TIG welding in the industry for almost 20 years now. My YouTube channel is for the positive people in the welding community who love TIG welding as much as I do. This is for the beginners, people looking to up their game on the torch, or just anyone who's interested in learning about TIG welding in a fun, negativity-free environment. So join me on my mission on my channel, and let's get welding. This is Pacific Arc TIG Welding. Hello arc heads, welcome to another episode. Thank you for joining me. So I did an episode a little while ago where I was demonstrating some fillet welds going around a pipe. We went over all the basics for that one, showing all the things that I prefer doing, as well as some things that gave me troubles when I first started learning it. So if you missed that episode, it's right here. It's also in the description below. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. So after I put that one out, I had somebody hit me up and they asked if I could do the same episode, except this time around a square pipe or square tube, square stock, whatever, you get the idea. And I started thinking, actually, that would be pretty easy to do. However, after getting set up to do it, I started thinking this one might be quite challenging as well, because there's quite a few small details that people tend to forget with this one as well. You may think it may be as simple as going around a square shape, and a square having 4 sides. You may think it's just the same weld 4 times. Another one here. Do you remember this episode? This one talks about one of the most common things I see people forget. And in that episode, we go over the importance of welding around corners. In that episode, I talk about how often I see people forget this detail. So that one is in the description below as well. Check both these episodes out, they'll help you out. But what we're gonna do here today is plan how we're gonna do this one now. First off, we need to properly tack our joint together. Let's go ahead, flip the machine on, we'll adjust our settings, and then I'll tack it together. All right, so let's get going to set up our settings here. So on the Everlast 255 EXT, we're gonna set this machine up pretty simple. First off, we're gonna set our pre-flow with just a quick blast of that to clear the weld area. We're gonna have the lowest setting for start amps available. We're gonna use 0 upslope because we are using a foot pedal. And for welding amperage, we got it set for about 180 amps. This is obviously more than we're actually probably gonna use, but I will dictate how much of that 180 amps I use with my foot pedal. For my AC frequency, we're gonna have it set to 120 Hertz. And for my AC balance, I'm gonna be set 30% positive. So 70% negative, 30% positive. We're gonna have 0 downslope, again, because we're using a foot pedal. For end amps, we're gonna have the lowest setting possible. And for post flow, we'll actually turn it up a little bit here. We'll run about 5.5 seconds. And then for gas, as usual, we're gonna be running about 15 to 20 CFH of argon through our regulator. And there we go, we're set up, let's party. All right, a quick look before we get going here. So as you can see, I now have 4 little inconspicuous tacks strategically placed on the corners so that once I carry my weld out, I'm not gonna have any stupid tacks in the way so I can keep a uniform pass. I'm gonna go over each tack around the corner when I do my start stops, and then each one will form a natural pocket on the other side where I will then finish my corner wrap, tie into the pocket, and then for the next pass, I will leave that pocket and travel on like so. But we got everything clean, everything decontaminated, wire brushed. I'm gonna be starting my weld on this side. I have more material I will have to heat up here. If I start on the edge, I have less material on the edge here and it will heat up a lot faster. And therefore, with a cold joint, I'll be able to get a hotter start faster and then I can move out quicker. But there it is, nice and tidy. Detail the top edge, deburr all your stuff, people. Keep it nice and clean. And there we go, let's weld. So now that things are properly cleaned, properly tacked together, let's plan what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna perform the weld just as you see it here. But here's the one mistake that some people make, is that when you finish the first pass, commonly somebody will just turn the piece on their work table, light up, and then pull the next pass from the previous stop. When you do this, you restrict your visibility. I talk about it all the time on my channel, how important visibility is. Especially when coming from around a corner, it's a pretty easy place to make little mistakes and leave a little void in between the 2 passes. Now, if this was something that really mattered as far as having proper penetration, you would guarantee yourself to have a void in penetration in between the 2 passes. Obviously, this is a problem. So as I went over in that previous episode, here's what we're gonna do in this situation. We are gonna perform a proper corner wrap. We are gonna grab on properly to the last puddle of the previous pass, properly turn the corner, ensuring that we maintain our heat and theoretically in doing so, our penetration as well. We will then get reset and get fully comfortable again and then continue on with the next one. So as you can see in this diagram here, we have 4 passes as well as 4 corner wraps. So theoretically, you could make an argument that we are actually doing 8 passes instead of 4. But when doing it this way, we ensure that we properly wrap our corners. So now that we're clear on the basics, let's light it up. Okay, to start, we are taking our sweet time with this one. Everyone knows the saying, fill and chill. I've now given it some filler, and I'm now watching and waiting for things to heat up enough so that I can begin moving. Once things are heated up enough, and we can see that the heat is penetrating, moving becomes much easier. All I'm doing now is maintaining and watching to make sure my lower line matches the profile and line of the straight line I am following. Now, as I approach the end here, I'm making sure that I match the size and profile of the tack. Arc off slowly, a proper finish, and I'm set up to turn the corner now. So, now starting in the pocket of the finish of the last half, I'm now 100% sure I'm connecting my corner properly from the last stop. I give it good heat to blend my filler to the shape and profile of the next pass I want. Can you see the pattern of what we're doing now? I have a proper pocket that's 100% connected to the previous pass. Then I'm sure my next start will not have any void or hollow spot in between the 2 passes. Once again, a proper start, and then once I'm moving, it's easy to just watch and maintain. Getting ready for my next stop here, I'll leave a nice pocket for the next start. Now I'm going to repeat the process on this corner here. A nice proper finish to that one, and I'm set up for the next one. Keeping an eye on my bottom line is probably the most important thing with this joint. We have a profile that's a square or rectangle or whatever it is, so that this shape is going to be our guide to follow. The bottom line will be our gravity affected side, so making sure that this line follows the shape will be the most important goal for me always. The amount of filler and reinforcement will play a big part with this joint. Not enough filler will cause things to overheat, while too much filler will stack up and block penetration. All right, is this our last corner? Hold up. Yeah, this is our last corner. So do the same thing as the previous ones. Okay, home stretch here. We know the drill now. All I've got to do is match the profile to the first pass we did. So as I approach the end, I'm making sure I get everything organized and sized up to match the first pass we did. And I make sure I cross the place where I started, and I wrap it up with a nice round button, like a pretty bow on a present. And we're done. All right, let's take a look. Overall, I'm pretty stoked on this one. All of my corners, which are the areas I was most concerned about, have all tied in pretty nicely. As you can see, we don't have any hollow pockets in between the 2 passes. As we turn it around, everything pretty much has the same profile. If we look lengthwise down it, the leg lengths are pretty much equal top and bottom. And as we round the corner, we don't really have any undercut. Everything has been filled up properly. Having a look at it like this, our bottom leg stayed pretty straight. And then turning the corner to the home stretch, we kept everything nice and straight as well. Then placed a button nice and tidy right on the corner, just passed over so it connects to where we started from. Just finish off with one little cutie right on the end there. But once again, given that I had a camera in my face, which is always notoriously super difficult to film, I'm pretty stoked on all that. That one was a lot of fun. Making sure that we tie up our corners is a really important detail. Even as somebody who's been welding for almost 20 years now or so, this still happens to me once in a while if I'm not paying attention. And there's nothing worse than having to go back and throw a stupid button on top of something somewhere random where it doesn't belong. We want things to look organized. We want to ensure that the job is done properly and that we have done everything we possibly can to tie up any loose ends. Because this episode came from a viewer request, leave a comment below if you can think of a joint that you would like me to do a demonstration on. So again, links are in the description below for the episodes I mentioned. If you are a true ARC head and you watch the show every week, leave a dime in the comments below. Write something nice. Everybody comment on each other's comments. Let's start spreading some positivity in the comments below. Go out today, as always, do a random act of kindness for a stranger. For Pacific Arc TIG Welding, my name is Dusty, Phil and Chill. We'll talk soon. Peace.